So what inspired me to be a pug mum was actually my husband. So he grew up, he had a pug when he was a kid
Oh,
called
wow.
Schofield.
Oh,
And
what a name.
no, I know, Scoey for short. And Scoey was his best friend. Sorry, Floyd is digging at the
Still
tape
chasing
at the desk.
the
Still
zombie
chasing the
beetle.
beetle
Yep.
that was there before. Yeah, so he was a pug dad as a teenager.
Hello, humans and puggies. Welcome to the Pug Life Show, brought to you by Pug Parties, because your pug deserves to be the best dressed at the porty. And you can check out the pug fitting, harness and toilet friendly outfits at pugparties.com. I'm your host, Donna, and with me are my puggy co-hosts, Rosie and Kenji, with their rescue foster brother Buster. Today we're entering the wonderfully chaotic pug life of our force-free trainer friend Sarah Rutten and her dynamic puggy duo, Dougie and Floyd. Dougie is a sweet king who has been navigating IVDD like an absolute champ, and Floyd is his unhinged pug missile brother who cannot resist chomping on Dougie's tail like it's a limited edition snackie. Now, Sarah spills all the stories, including how she became a pug mum, which was not your typical journey, to her future Pug-family edition, which we're looking forward to meeting sometime this year. But before we zoom in, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. You'll find the link in the show notes. And you can be the first to know when the next episode lands and get access to lots more pugtastic goodies. Oh, hello, Sarah. Thank you for coming back onto the Pug Life Show to talk about your pug life.
Hey, Donna. How are you going?
Good. It's obviously for those who season 5 is their first season. If they go back to season 4, we've got 2 great episodes where you come on and you talk about your amazing book, The Canine Perspective, which I loved reading and I still refer to and refer other people to all the time. And then you come back on a few episodes later to talk about pug anxiety, which is a big thing for me because Kenji is on fluoxetine because he has quite severe anxiety. But it's also something that you as a dog trainer see more and more. So highly recommend, go back to season 4, listen to both of those episodes. But you promised me at the end of the anxiety episode that you would come back on board and we would shed the business stuff and we would talk about the best stuff, which is the pug life, because you're a pug mum who's also a dog trainer, but you use your pugs as part of your training, which I'm certain most people would go, no.
Yeah. Yes, I do. And I am a pug mum and I'm a pug tragic. So yes, we do currently, Floydie's joining in the conversation here at the moment, but we do have 2 pugs at the moment, Doug and Floyd. We have had others in the past who are no longer with us. They're hanging out at the Rainbow Bridge waiting for us to arrive when it's our turn. But yes, the pugs featured on the front cover of my book. They are definitely a massive part of our life. And yeah, I adore the breed. I absolutely adore the breed.
Oh, well, I have an entire podcast dedicated to them. So I think we're both in the same boat.
So you're in the Pug Tragics Club as well.
Absolutely. Crazy pug mum all the way. Even like introducing, like people see me and I'm wearing my pug earrings or I've got my pug brooch on and they kind of look at me and I'm like, yes, I'm a crazy pug lady. And they're just like, oh, no, you can't be. And I went, dude, I have the only pug podcast in the world. And then they sort of go, okay, you win. I said, that's fine. It's fine. So we'll crack on with one of my favourite questions. What inspired you to become a pug parent? And of all the breeds and being a dog trainer, you've seen them all just about.
Yep. So what inspired me to be a pug mum was actually my husband. So he grew up, he had a pug when he was a kid called Schofield.
Oh, what a name.
No, I know, Scoey for short. And Scoey was his best friend. Sorry, Floyd is digging at the
still chasing
at the desk.
the zombie
Still chasing
beetle.
the beetle
Yep.
that was there before. Yeah, so he was a pug dad as a teenager. So
Oh.
when we got together 29 years ago, I said to him, "I want to get a dog." Now, I grew up with poodles.
Oh.
So and at that time I wasn't studying to be a dog trainer, so I just knew that I grew up with poodles. There were many breeds that I really loved. And I said to Chris, "I want to get a dog." And he said, "Well, if you want to get a dog, we have to get a pug." And I was like, "What? A pug? Why do I want to get a pug?" And he said, "It's non-negotiable. And if anybody that's ever met Chris, he's very laid back. He's
Mm.
very go with the flow. If I say I want to do something, he goes, 'Yeah, whatever you want, babe.'" This was a like non-negotiable. No, if you want a dog, the only breed we're getting is a pug. And so I went on. Well, obviously, this means a lot to him.
Yes.
So okay, fine. So we got our first pug, Tyson, who was a black pug,
Oh.
and I absolutely fell in love with the breed. So after that, we adopted a pug from the Byron Pound. Her name at the time of getting her was Froggy,
Oof.
and I know, we changed that to Taffy. So I was like, I'm not, I know, I'm not. She'd had a
I'm not
really rough life.
calling that out in the middle of the
Not
park.
Froggy, no, I'm not. She hadn't had a very good life. So we new name, new life. So we changed her name to Maxie,
Mm.
and Tyson made it to 16 and a
Oh,
half. Maxie
wow.
made it. I know, Maxie made it to 13, and I mean, we've had overlaps, right? So
Mm.
then Callie, or Princess
Yes, yes.
Calasandra, which is her full name, she came on the scene, and she was my heart dog. She
Oh,
passed away
yeah.
in January of last year. And then along came Doug, who we still have at the moment, although he's not doing great,
Mm.
unfortunately. He's got IVDD,
Mhm.
intervertebral disc disease. So he's still with us though. And then we've had Harvey, who again we lost in 2024 from he had a mass on his soft palate that we didn't know about, and that flared really badly. And
Mm.
we lost him very suddenly. Within 12 hours, he
Mm.
was, from "I think something's wrong" to saying goodbye. It
Yeah.
happened very quickly. We were pretty devastated by that.
Awful.
And then Floyd. So we've had, and in the middle of the year, we're looking at getting another puppy. So
See, once you have one pug, you can't go back.
I know I need to find some kind of rhyme for that.
Yes.
But but yeah, so we are definitely a pug family. We do have all the pug paraphernalia. I do have the pug earrings, the pug mugs, the pug blankets, the pug doona covers, the pug pillows, the pug. Yeah, we have. Like I said, they feature on the front cover of my book.
Mhm.
Everything pug t-shirts. Chris has got a Pug Life t-shirt that
Nice.
he very proudly wears at times. So yes, we're a bit pug mad
Oh,
in
good.
this
And
home.
you're quite unique because it's usually the woman who puts their foot down and says, "This is the breed we're getting."
Well, like I said, he was so adamant, and that is very rare for Chris. Chris
Mm.
is normally, like I said, he's normally really easygoing, and he'll often say to me, "What do you think about this?" or "What would you like to do about that?" Or like he's so go with the flow. And this was if we get a dog, we are getting a pug. That is it, like non-negotiable. And I was like, "You never do this about anything.
Mm.
Obviously,
This is very
this is
important.
important."
Yeah. Like,
Yes. So I was like, "Okay."
I was amazed, like Andrew and I, Fat Dog, who was my first pug, his real name was Lewis, but he was like a little pork barrel with 4 paws when I adopted him. So we unknowingly pug shamed him by calling him Fat Dog. But he loved the nickname. Like he always came whenever we called it out. And he was abused and neglected, but sort of he was with me for a couple of years before Andrew come on the scene. And then so Andrew kind of knew it was a package deal. Like I said to him, you have a daughter, I have a fur child. This is how it works. Your kid comes with you as the package. Fat Dog comes with me. And I have to admit, I think Fat Dog was much more demanding than Amelia was. That's and sort of like there were a few alpha conversations, we'll call them, even though like I swear Andrew thinks he won them all, but I kind of used to think, oh, I think Fat Dog actually used to just look at him and go, I'm not budging. So so it was always like this just amazing thing. So I kind of come, and so it was always non-negotiable. Fat Dog went everywhere. But then we lost Fat Dog just before I was due to go back to sea. So we decided to not get a replacement until after we'd finished our Navy, our last sea time. And then I'd sort of said to Andrew, when we retire and we're both sort of settled in Melbourne, then we'll look at getting another dog. And if you would like to get a different breed, that's okay. I will get a pug for me and you can have whatever you want. And then he shocked me and called out to me. He was home for a weekend and he said to me, he goes, I've just been on the Pug Rescue and Adoption Victoria website and there's 2 boys that are bonded and they need to be adopted together and I think we should adopt them. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, 2 pugs, not 1, but 2. And he said it first, which means he can never go back. never go back.
Exactly.
And so that was the beginning of who we now refer to as Winston and Charles, but who's, talk about horrible names, Sumo, as in sumo wrestler, and JJ. Those were their original names. And the same thing, I looked at Andrew and went, if we're adopting these boys, those names are changing. There is no way in the world I am screaming out those names in a park. But they're the only 2 whose names we've ever changed. Every other pug that we've rescued, we've just kept their names because they've been a lot older, whereas Winston and Charles were 2. So we thought, we've got a pretty good chance of changing their names without too many issues. But yeah, they're the young, and they were also the youngest we'd ever adopted. And so we were talking about before, like the energy of Floyd at 13 months. Like we just, especially after Fat Dog, who was always very zen and quiet, and watching these 2 pugs do zoomies at 10 o'clock at night, I was just like, I forgot how much energy they have at this age. It's just insane. Like eating zombie beetles, bugs.
Yes, I know. He's now my gym bag. I just put my gym bag on the floor. He's pulling all of my gym gear out of the gym bag. So at least he's busy.
Yes. Nice smelly stuff.
So far, 1 shoe and my gym shorts are out. So I would rather him not chew on those.
Because I was about to say, is Dougie a chewer? And what's the word I'm looking for? What material is his favourite material to chew?
So Doug, not so much anymore, but Floyd, look, anything. Floyd does this really weird thing where, when you get blankets that have got a thread that have come off it, or a sheet with thread that's come off it, or anything with a thread that's come off it, and he'll get it and he'll just sit there and he'll, like have a little chew on it. And you look at him and you're like, what are you chewing on? And he's just chewing on this thread that he's not trying to chew it to swallow it. He just wants to chew it. He just
like a string of corn. Just
like he's just a little weirdo. I swear black and blue, and Chris rolls his eyes when I say it, but I swear that he is Callie that come back for another round with us, because some of the stuff that he does, I'm just like, oh dear God, that's exactly what your sister did when she was your age. And we used to call her Crazy Callie. Like, she became the most beautiful girl. She was just like, she became a qualified assistance dog. She was, she was just the most beautiful girl. Helped me out with my consult. She was amazing. But when in the first 2, we called her Crazy Callie because she was an utter nutbag. So I swear Floyd got nicknamed Fearless Floyd by, I'm talking to you, mate. He looked up when he heard his name. But yeah, sometimes he does things and I just think, oh my God, you're your sister. You really are. And yeah, it kind of blows my mind a bit and makes me feel like she's still around, which is nice.
I did a similar thing with Winston and Fat Dog. And I mean, like, it had been 2 years between losing Fat Dog and then getting Winston. And in that first 6 months, out of the corner of your eye, you just go, Fat Dog, what are you doing? And then you go, oh, wrong dog. And of course, Winston just be sort of like halfway through chewing. He had a thing for Italian leather. Andrew had these beautiful pair of boots that we spent a lot of money on, and obviously they come out for special occasions. And so, of course, Winston, if Andrew, who is renowned for leaving shit lying around, drives me up the wall. And so I have no sympathy for chewed up stuff that he's left lying around. And so he left these boots lying around. And Winston did a very good job at basically rimming the entire top of one boot. and Andrew's like, there's an entire cupboard worth of, he could have had the thongs for crying out loud. And I'm like, no. Our pugs are high maintenance, darling.
That's right. They're high value.
And it was,
yes.
Charles was the same. I had a pair of Kenneth Cole stilettos that went with a particular cocktail dress that I used to wear. I could no longer wear them because he liked the stiletto bit and I just, and you just sit there going, I just want to kill you because they were a lot of money and they're not chew toys, and please get out of my sight now before I do something that will get me arrested.
And like my trainer hat is kind of coming on and off at the moment as I was put things away, give them alternative toys, pick it up. Oh my God, that's so puppy. Oh my God, my dogs do that. Like it's just this hat that keeps going on and on.
Yes, but of course, Doug is perfect. Doug would never do these sort of things.
Not now, but oh my God, when he was younger, he was the one. I'm sure the neighbours knew that we had a dog called Doug, or at least some family member called Doug, because we'd be going, Doug, get off the table, Doug. Stop licking your brother's ears. Doug, stop having your sister. Like it was now it's Floyd. It was never Callie. Callie was always perfect. Callie, when Callie's first introduction to Tyson, poor Tyson, how old was he when we introduced him to Callie? I can't quite remember. He was a senior dog when we first I don't know if you can hear Floyd digging around in my gym bag. He would have been about 11, I think, when we brought Callie home. So he was an old boy. He's the same age that Doug is now, and he was still entire. So we didn't end up desexing him. And the first thing that Callie did when she met Tyson was bit him on the testicle. And
poor Tyson.
So
she let him know who was in charge.
Well, she was just like, these things look interesting and they're dangling in front of my face. So, let me, as a 8-week-old puppy who's investigates the world through their mouth, let me see what they are. Yeah, he wasn't too happy about that. But at least he didn't hold that against her, and they did become really good friends. So, but yes, it apart from being crazy, and I'm sure she was, anyway, she became the most perfect girl. She became the most perfect girl.
Yes. Andrew calls Rosie his perfect princess, but I think that's because for the first time ever, a pug entered our house and wanted him as their human, whereas it's always usually been me for some reason. It was quite interesting. Rosie's last family, her human was the mum, not the dad. And so maybe she just had a gutful of her human being a mum. And so
I don't know.
I don't know. It's all about dad. Like batting the eyelids, all about dad.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Like it's just like, I love you, Dad. And whenever Dad comes home, it's like, you're dead to me, Mum. It's run down to the front door to greet Dad. And I'm like, I should be offended, but I'm going to try not to be, because every pug we've ever owned has always been a mummy's. So I'm like, you can have one pug. Like the other 5 are mine.
We'll share one. I'll share one with you.
But I've always wanted a zebra crossing, and I've said this on the show before. Like I've always wanted a boy and girl fawn and a boy and girl black. So I currently have Buster, who's our foster, who is fawn. So I have Rosie and Buster are fawn. Kenji's kind of by himself as the only black one, but I'm working on it. I'm like, if I can't have another foster, maybe one day I'll just accidentally adopt another black pug. Like, This black pug
Yeah.
fell off the back of the, and she's a girl. So we've now got
Oops. I fell over and all of a sudden I had adopted a black pug.
Yes.
Yeah, it works.
That's how
That's
it
how it
goes.
works.
Oh, well, and you know what it's like if you're about to get another little friend for Floyd and Dougie. Poor Dougie. What's he going to do? Is it going to be a girl?
It will be a girl. I'm not sure, and this is a hashtag trigger warning. I'm not sure that Dougie will be with us at that
Oh,
point.
puppy.
So yeah, he's hanging in there at the moment, but he's, you know, it. Yeah, he's having a lot of trouble moving. This is the downsides of IVDD.
Mm.
You know, he's had a lot of trouble getting around. He needs a lot of help to get around. And look, there's lots of people that will say, "Oh, you know, you should. He's suffering. He's struggling. You should say goodbye." The truth is, you know, you're being cruel by keeping him alive. The truth is, he doesn't want to go. So,
Mm.
you know, you see him and he watches everything, and he watches it not just with those eyes that go, "Oh, this is all too much." He watches it with, "What are we doing? What are we doing? Oh, food is coming out. Okay, what are we doing? Are we going for a walk? Oh, are we going in the car?" So he, it's just
Still
his body
engaged.
that can't quite keep up. So I feel like, you know, making that decision to say goodbye, I don't feel like he's ready to. His
Mm.
body is not quite playing the game, but his brain and his mind is still really there. So it's a really, really hard decision to make, because I'm a firm believer, and this has happened with every single one of my dogs. They've always told me when they're ready to go.
Mm.
They've always been, yeah, it's time. You know, Callie was very clear when it was time for her to go. She just looked at me and I just knew
Yeah.
that she was
Kind
done.
of gutful.
You know, so I've always known when it's time, and he's telling me I'm not ready to go anywhere yet. So it's so hard to then make that decision when logic states that he's not living his best life in his current physical body, yet mentally he wants to be in amongst all of it.
Mm.
And we have a pram for him, and when we put him in the pram, he's like, "Where are we
Yep.
going?" You know, he sits there and he takes it all in, and people come and pat him and he loves it. And you know, he sees someone offer someone a treat and he's madly trying to get up to try and get the treat. So you kinda it's this very difficult, very, very, very difficult position to be in when you've
Mm.
got judgment from some people who are like, "You're you know, what you're doing right now is cruel." He's not in any pain, by the way.
Yes.
Like, we've already had that tested. Both the vet and his physio have both said that they've confirmed he's not in any pain, and if he was in pain, we would absolutely make that
Mm.
decision. So he's in no pain. You know, and mentally he's so engaged and he so wants to be in there. It's just his physical body that's, you know, not
Not
playing the
playing.
game,
Oh,
not playing the game. So
agreed.
it's a very difficult thing to navigate, and we take it day by day at this point. And the moment that he is either not interested in food or says to me, "Mum, I'm done," is the moment that I ring the vet. So,
Mm.
you know, so when the new one comes, chances are it'll be middle of the year, around July. I don't think he's going to
Mm.
still be with us.
Mm.
So it'll just be the Floyd who gets to have a new playmate.
Yes. And I'll say two things. When Lewis, fat dog, he when we adopted him, he was riddled with stress fractures, and a whole bunch of other neglect health issues. And the vet said to us at the time, if he makes it past 10, you'll be lucky. And we're like, it's okay. He'll have a couple of great years. He got to 14, but at 13, his arthritis was just so bad because of obviously all of these physical issues, that we were just sort of like, the recommendations were there were 3 recommendations. We need to replace this. It'll cost 10 grand. You can give him anti-inflammatories, which will basically take the pain away, or you can have him put down. And Andrew was still at sea at the time, so I was kind of sitting at home, cuddling him, bawling my eyes out, going, same thing. I don't think you're ready to go. Like, what the problem is you can't get up to go to the toilet, even though you want to, because you are just so sore everywhere. And then I ended up ringing my mum, and my mum is a psychologist, and I said, what the hell am I going to do? This is not what I want for him. And mum was like, what's his job in life? It's to enjoy being around you. And if enjoying being around you is sleeping and then keeping you company and giving you cuddles, then the anti-inflammatories will give him the mobility to be able to do that. She said, he's not the dog. Like, I grew up with hunting dogs. So sort of like she goes, she's not the dog that you would have grown up with. This is, and so I just went, you know what? You're right. His pug life is living an easy life. And if the anti-inflammatories will give him back that life, then, and so for another 12 months, and then the little bugger died of his own accord, and we weren't even there. I felt so bad. Andrew and I, we were moving everything from Melbourne to Sydney because we were still in the Navy. He was staying with my mother-in-law, and he decided that she was the person that he wanted to be there with him at the end. And I just like, I cannot believe you did that to me. But I like to think it's because he didn't want to see me crying again. So but same thing. It was all on his terms. And I just I cannot believe that it all happened like in the space of about 24 hours. He waited until we flew out before he decided that this is what I want to do. But I was glad for him that he got that chance. Like that was, we didn't have to, unfortunately, we didn't quite get the same thing with Winston. Winston similarly got really sick really quickly. And we just basically, the advice was, he's in pain, stop. And so we went, okay, just do it. And
yeah. That was the case with Harvey. I'm not sure if this was the way the conversation that you expected the conversation to go, but you know, like
Pug life.
Well, I think that there's a lot here, you know, around grief that we don't talk about. You know, like our society is really shit when it comes to talking about grief, and especially grief with regards to our pets. You know, it's something nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to acknowledge it. There's lots of people that go, "Oh my God, it's just a dog. Get over it." Yes. We know that they are part of the family, and it is like losing a family member. But there's lots of stuff that people just either don't talk about, don't want to talk about, don't want to deal with, don't know how to deal with. So I often find that, you know, talking about it really normalizes it and goes, yeah, it's hard. It's that grief is hard. And with Harvey, you know, he had a mass on his soft palate. He was fine. We thought he was fine the day before. He turns out he probably wasn't. And I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I was just like, you sound like you're having trouble breathing.
Yeah.
He was. I took him to the emergency vet. They kind of went, oh, look, it sounds like he's got something going on in his upper respiratory area. Maybe bring him back tomorrow. Take him home, or you can leave him here. And I was like, I'm not leaving him here. I want him with me. And then by 8 o'clock that morning, half the side of his face had drooped. And I raced him to my normal vet and they were just like, what? This doesn't look right. What's going on? So I told them. Anyway, they investigated and sedated him and intubated him, and they found he had a mass in his cheek and a mass which had blocked the nerves in his face, which is why his whole face had drooped, and a mass on his soft palate that was blocking his airway for some reason. Both of them flared. Both of them had, you know, they were encased in pus. You know, he ended up he had pus in his lungs. Like they were then talking about a tracheotomy.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I care for a dog with a tracheotomy? You know, like I already have one dog with IVDD. That was Callie. Actually, two. Both Callie and Doug had IVDD. And, you know, I don't know how to care for a dog with a tracheotomy. And then as it turned out, the swelling got so bad that they couldn't take the intubation tube out without his whole throat closing over. And they went, you know, we don't even know if he's going to recover from this. The kindest thing to do is to say goodbye. And so we did. We made that decision. And from, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning where I went, something's not right, to 3 o'clock in the afternoon where I was saying goodbye. Like it was just,
it happened so quickly. And then you're making decisions. In some ways, I think making the decision quickly is better because you're just sort of like, they're saying they're in pain. This is not working. There's not much more we can do. You need to make the decision. And it's like, okay. And I think for me, like the thing that stuck in my head was he's in a lot of pain and they can do no more for him. Okay, then this is the logical choice. And then afterwards I go, I'm a fucking horrible pug mum.
It's so hard, and I think you're right. Like one of the things that we're noticing, and I've noticed with all of my dogs as they're getting older, I have I have moments and days of anticipatory grief of
Mm,
what it's going to be like when I have to say goodbye, and that gets me really upset. That didn't happen with Harvey, but what I did have to deal with was a shock.
mm,
So I didn't deal with the anticipatory grief, but the shock was huge. So it's all of these things that go into having a pet. I don't tend to say owning a pet because I
mm.
think we're guardians rather than or
Yes.
parents rather than owners. But having these amazing creatures in our lives, especially pugs, but even other breeds, the grieving, the grief is
It's
it's freaking
real.
real.
It
Like
is.
it's so real. And the more that we start acknowledging and making space for it, I think the better that we will all be, and the better we'll be as people, as
Oh,
compassionate beings for each other. The better we are with our dogs. I have people that say to me, "Oh, I'm not going to get another dog because I can't handle the grief," and I'm like, "Well, then you miss out on the
all the
10 to
wonderful
15 years of
bits.
awesomeness."
Mm.
And yeah, the grief is a part of it. It's a shitty part of it, but it's a part of it.
Yes.
So let's make space for it and support each other in it.
No, I
Anyway,
absolutely
on
agree.
another note,
Yes.
on another note, Floyd's asleep.
Woo!
He's
He's
asleep.
all
He's
that
as
digging around has tuckered him out. Is he
and
asleep
he's doing the
though?
whole
Oh, is he up
frog
on
leg
his
thing at the
back
back,
with the
the little
paws?
the little puppy frog leg things at the back. So nobody move, nobody breathe.
Yes.
The puppy's asleep.
I was gonna
Floyd's
say,
asleep.
put a sign on the front door that says, "Please don't use the doorbell. The fur child is asleep."
It's just like nobody move. So I'll be stuck in this chair for the next hour because if I get up to go to the toilet, he's
Ew.
power napped and he's awake again. So there you go.
God, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's like with your guys, but mine seem to like sleep. Once I've had breakfast, they'll sleep the morning away. And then I get to about 3 o'clock and it's like mid-afternoon, tummy's starting to indicate that dinner is 3 hours away. So we now need to start getting under mum's feet just to remind her that in 3 hours' time, it's time to eat. In 3 hours. Like, do you understand that, mum? In 3 hours,
Right.
it's time to. I thought, oh my
Yeah.
God, like it can't be only my guys that do the 3 o'clock reminder.
No, and Floyd does this thing where, he needs to let Doug know by jumping on his head that, we're doing anything exciting. So whether that is it's dinner
Don't spoil
time,
it.
it's dessert time. They have dessert, and by dessert, it's just another small portion of their meal. It's not anything
I
fancy.
was I was actually
It's
gonna ask, was it berries?
No, it's not. It's just a little bit of extra. So because Doug is on some Chinese herbs
Mhm,
for he has seizures, so he's on Chinese herbs. We chose to go down that route rather than
mhm.
to go down the medicinal route. So he can't have the Chinese herbs at the same time as his other medication. So he has to have that separately. So we have it a little bit later at night. It's with a little bit of food. We just call it dessert,
Yes.
but we're not giving them sugar or ice cream, any of
Mhm.
that stuff. It's just the same food, just a smaller portion later on. But yes, when it's time for dessert, Floyd gets very excited and has to go and tell his brother by jumping on his head.
Oh,
Um, if we're going for a walk or going in the car, I have to be careful how I say this. I don't want to wake him.
yes.
Then he will run and let his brother know by jumping on his head. So it's very it's well, damn.
Or is he having a dream?
No, he's awake.
Oh.
Go back to sleep, sunshine. So yes, it's very exciting being Floyd at the moment.
Oh,
Just life.
and
Life
it
excites.
is great watching, like, that first part as they start to get comfortable in their own skin and then in their environment and then with you. There's just that because everything is exciting, and then you sit there going, "I forgot what it was like watching the world from their perspective," because
Mm.
everything is exciting, even though to everybody else it's just the couch, mate. It's okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's just the
Yeah.
couch. It's all right. It'll be the same. But I have to admit, like Kenji, and I don't know if it's because he was paralyzed before he went to pug rescue, and now that he's got the ability to use his legs because they did the surgery to fix it, like he loves to spin around and jump up and down whenever it's dinner time. But he even has this, and the worst part about it is my hands are always full. One day I'm going to film it because even the way he he sort of barks and yells about announcing to the world that it's food time, because his little mouth kind of goes into a little O, and he goes, wah, 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 but it's not obviously high pitched, it's very low, boy, woof. But it's just without fail, every meal, this is what, and I just look at him and go, it's the same food, mate. It's the same food. No, nothing has changed. The only
But it's pug, like it's pug excitement for food. Pug excitement.
The only
Like-
time he's like that outside of mealtime is when the raspberry vine is fruiting, and now I'm out there picking the raspberries, because a few years ago he figured out how to test what is a ripe and what is an unripe raspberry. And so if it's pug height, forget about it. I will never see those raspberries ever. And so if he knows that if he sees me with a bowl to go out and pick all the ones that are obviously human height, he comes barreling out, and he's doing this woof like, Rosie, Buster, it's raspberry time. It's raspberry time. Oh my God, it's raspberry time. And it's just, and I just look at him and go, I mean, as much as I love raspberries, he just adores them. So, and I think what he really wants for me is to just drop the bowl of raspberries that I've picked. So that they can then obviously, and so then we have the one for my mouth, one for your mouth, your mouth, your mouth. Okay, there's one left. Okay, we now go.
That sounds about right. We have in this new house where we bought on the Sunshine Coast, there's a veggie garden out in the back.
Nice.
And there's a couple of veggie beds, or veggie garden beds. Some of them have got wire around them so that nobody can jump in, but there is one that can be accessed by a pug, and Dougie can't jump in there anymore, so we know which pug I'm talking about. Anyway, there were some cherry tomatoes. We had cherry tomatoes during winter, and Floyd worked out that they were pretty yummy and he could go and help himself. So he would jump into the veggie garden, rummage around, find the ripe ones, and then pull them off and then go and eat them. So he'd be out in the backyard for a very long period of time, longer than was necessary to pee and poop.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, he's out there eating those damn tomatoes, isn't he? So I'd call him in, and you see him, he's got something in his mouth. I'm like, what have you got? And he's like, nothing. So I'm like, yeah, come on, spit it out. And yeah, lo and behold, it was a tomato. And as the season kind of got towards the end, when there weren't as many, the number of tomatoes weren't as prolific as what they had been, and they were only kind of unripe ones. He did try an unripe one. That didn't go down well.
Yes, they've tried that with the lemons that fall off the lemon tree. That was very funny, and I'm an awful pug mum for laughing at the look on their face when they managed to actually get through the skin and copped a mouthful of lemon juice. I am an awful pug mum.
I just think that they're so expressive, and they're so funny. You just can't help but laugh. Like,
no,
you just can't. We've been really careful with Floyd, because both Callie and Doug, and probably Harvey, if we're going to be honest, he might have had the startings of IVDD. So it's something that's it's not uncommon in pugs to have spinal issues. So we've been very careful with him about not letting him jump off the couch, jump off the bed. We're just very careful.
Yeah.
Except he doesn't care. So we will go to grab him so he doesn't jump, and he's like, "Rah!" and kamikaze himself off the back of the couch. So, and we'll do it in the funniest way. So we attempt to not let him do it, but half the time we're pissing ourselves laughing because he's just so funny.
They face plant and then do a little bit of roll and then get up and sort of the look on their faces like, oh, that didn't go like I thought it was going to. And then off we go.
I think it's that robustness that really helps me use them. I don't mean that in a bad way, but they help me so much in my job to be that neutral dog for dogs with anxiety and dogs with reactivity, because Floyd started working with me at 6 months, and he's still in training, but he does pretty well. But if a dog, and the way that I work, we don't get close enough for the dog to become reactive. That's not the aim of the exercise. But if a dog happens to get reactive, he looks at them and goes, "That was funny. Do it again." Like, he just doesn't care. He's just like, "Huh, okay, cool.
That's
Do it again." Yeah. So, I have had a lot of people when they say, "Oh, you're gonna use your dog. What have you got?" And I'm like, "A pug." And they look at me like,
Really?
"What?" Firstly, you're a trainer and you have a pug. Secondly, you're gonna bring the pug
Yeah.
to this to help with the reactivity of my dog? And I'm like, "Yeah." Because if your dog does have a roar at him, he literally will think it's hilarious and go, "Okay," and wander off. Like, he's just so, all of our dogs have been really quite robust,
Mm.
um,
A
and
natural
behaviorally sound.
de-escalator, for want of a
They
better
I
term.
think they just have a wicked sense of humor. Like, I think they just see the humor in everything and just that is a broad
Yeah.
generalization. I know that there are dogs of all breeds who don't necessarily fit the mold. So I know that there are pugs out there that do struggle with anxiety and do have other issues. I know of a pug who, thought killing lizards and the chickens were a good idea. So that's a little
Nice.
unusual for pugs,
Yes.
but like
Yep.
it still happens. But I just think that as a general rule, the breed has such a sense of humor
Oh, yeah.
and they just think everything is funny.
Yep. And it's all about them. It's like, "Oh,
Oh,
what do you mean you
100%.
don't like me? No, that can't
Yeah.
be right. I'm gonna go back there and check." Like,
Yeah. What do you mean that treat's not for me?
yes.
That definitely can't be right. I'm pretty sure that there are either more or you meant to give it to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or, "Wait a minute, why are you patting them? You should be patting me too. I'm just gonna go over and get it." Like, you're obviously not getting the signal that you should be coming to me. So, and Kenji is very much "Oh, you're not patting me. I need to get closer. That's the problem.
Mm,
I'm
mm.
not within the right distance." Whereas Rosie is very much, "Oh, if you must pat me, you must come to me." Like, it's
Oh, it's that princess
and you're
energy.
right there, princess, yes, where because Buzz is blind and deaf, he's just like, "I can smell something over here," and then he just wanders into it, and then because he's just so adorable, people just go, "Oh my god, I wanna give you a cuddle. I don't wanna pat you, I
Yeah.
wanna
Mm,
cuddle you," and I'm like, "Well, you've sold.
mm,
You've
mm. It's so
absolutely."
funny, isn't it? Their individual personalities. Callie was always Callie. She was never there was no addition to her name. It wasn't a shortened name. It was always Callie. I don't know if I've told you this story, but
Mm.
we have some very dear friends of ours who live down Jindabyne way, and they have had, they're pug tragics as well. And when we first got Callie, they said to me, "So is Callie short for anything?" And I was like, "No, it's just Callie." And she was like, "But she looks like a princess." And I was like, "Well, I know, but her name is just Callie." And she said to my friend said to me, "She looks like a Calisandra." And I was like, "Oh, that just fits." So her name got lengthened from Callie to Calisandra.
Yeah.
And then if she was having a particularly posh day, which happened from time to time, it was Princess Calisandra. So
Very good.
yeah,
Complete reverse because it's usually the other way around.
it's usually
Yes.
shortened, but no, she got like, and I would say to her, "Hello, Princess Calisandra," and she'd just look at me like, "Hi, mom."
Yes.
Hi, mom, in her regal
I know,
way.
they just know how to do the head like, Rosie knows what side of her face is the best for photography. I swear to God. Like, because she obviously models all of our outfits, and so she's accustomed to being photographed, so much so now that she just sits one way, and then that's like and, like, if we've got a new photographer that's never worked with her before, they're like, "Oh my god, she's incredible," and I'm like, "No, no, no, you don't understand. That's it. That is the only pose you are getting." Unless, like, Kenji is with her, and then she might do the, "I'll get out of the way," like, and she will move just so that she makes sure that but, yeah, Rosie has, like, she just knows and because she does get told all the time that she is a pretty pug. I don't care what anyone says, she knows it. She knows that she is a pretty this part, like
Oh.
I've had, like, Fat Dog and I reckon Winston and Charles with their backgrounds, if there was a nuclear holocaust, they would survive. They've survived some Brit, whereas Rosie is the only pug that was a rehome. So she's come from loving families who just didn't know how to care for her properly. So for her, she doesn't know hardship. And everything she does reflects the fact that it's just, she expects it. Well, of course, I'm a pretty pug. And this is this is the right side to photograph. Thank you. Like, this is
That's right. That's right. This is my good
just
side.
precious. I'm just, oh my God. But
so she would not survive a zombie apocalypse then.
hell no. No. And in some ways, I think Kenji might, as long as there were enough humans around, because Kenji very much has the puppy dog eyes down, whereas Winston would eat anything. And I'm like, he ate compost once when he was at my sister's house because she forgot to put the lid of the compost bin down. And then I'm happy to say, as much as like after that incident, Andrew and I did pet first aid. And that was when we found out that compost is actually really bad for dogs. But thankfully, not thankfully for Andrew, but I was away. So Andrew then had to deal with the next 12 hours worth of vomiting. So
hashtag sorry, not sorry.
No, so not. Felt really bad for Winston. Not so, but Andrew said, he goes, every bed in the house, all of the dog beds, all of them got vomited on within 12 hours. So much so that Andrew had to take the day off work because he just, by the end, he'd obviously gotten it all out of his system. So thank God his body had done the right thing and just expelled it all. But yeah, I have to admit, I was on the phone, I was away for work, and I was like, oh my God, darling, I'm so sorry. Is Winston is he okay? Are you going to take him to the vet? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to take him to the vet. And I could hear the exhaustion of like an entire night of not sleeping and then having to clean up vomit all night. And in some ways, I was sort of like, the universe has repaid, because when they first came to us, neither of Winston or Charles, they'd been locked outside in a courtyard. So they didn't know grass and they weren't toilet trained. So they come to us at 2, having never used a doggy door and not knowing that they should be toileting on the grass. And then we figured out that they were also afraid of the dark. So the first 6 months, whilst Andrew was at sea, I was teaching them how to toilet train. So I was waking up in the middle of the night to them toileting in the bedroom. And hearing the sound of them toileting. So I had 6 months of no sleep. So I thought one night of him cleaning up vomit, yeah, I think that's a fair trade. That's a fair trade.
Fair enough.
Comes around in roundabouts. I have to admit, there's been a few other things that Andrew copped that I haven't, and I've just gone, oh, thank God I wasn't there for that. But that's living the pug life. He said we could have 2 pugs.
That's right.
That's right.
It's all his fault.
Exactly. Now, you talked about how Callie got a name. How did Dougie and Floyd get their names?
So when we decided that, so Doug's story around how he got his name is a bit of an interesting one. So Doug actually belonged to a client of mine who came to puppy preschool, and after that, his name was Kyoki.
Oh my God.
And
what
yes,
a name.
which apparently means best mate in Hawaiian. That's what I was told. I have no idea if that is true or not. Perhaps some
hopefully a
Hawaiian
listener from the US will confirm or deny.
Yes, so that was what we were told. So this client of mine had brought him to puppy preschool with me. They'd done the first lesson, and she said to me, "Do you want him?" And at the time, we were looking for another pug, but I thought she was joking, and I went, "Yeah." And she goes, "No, I'm serious. Do you want him?" And I went, "Yeah." And she said, "No, I'm really serious." I must have had a look on my face that was like, "Oh yeah, you're joking." And she said, "No, I can't keep him." She also cared for her 92-year-old mother, and baby puppy was getting under her feet. So she said, "I can't keep him." Now, she was actually Doug's 3rd owner by that stage.
God.
So he'd been with the breeder. He had gone to another guy who had him for 2 weeks and couldn't keep him. Then he had been put on Gumtree. This woman had actually got him. Now, a week later, she couldn't keep him. So she said to me, "Do you want him?" And I was like, "Are you serious?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm actually really serious." And I said, "Well, yeah, I would take him." And so I paid her what she paid for him, and I brought him home, and Chris obviously signed off on it. It wasn't like I just went,
Yeah,
"Oh,
right.
and random puppy, here we go."
Wait a minute. In the
Mind
back of
you,
mind, you would have went, it's a done deal. Like,
yeah. I mean, in all honesty, Chris probably would have just been happy with it anyway. So I brought him home, and we were both pretty enamored, and Chris said to me, "So what's his name?" And I said, "His name's Kyoki." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And 5 minutes later, he came back and he went, "What's his name again?" And I said, "Kyoki." And he went, "Oh, okay." And he wandered off, and he came back 5 minutes later and he goes, "What's his name again?" I said, "Kyoki." And he goes, "Fuck this, I'm not gonna remember that. Let's call him something else." So, he goes, "Let's call him Alan." And I said, No,
oh,
I'm not calling the dog Alan." And then he goes, "What about Steve?" And I went, "I'm not calling the dog Steve." And then he goes, "What about Marty? Like Marty McFly from Back to the Future?" And I said, "No, I'm vetoing that too." And he said, "Well, we did say that the next time that we got another pug, we were gonna call him Doug." And Doug, at that point, looked up.
Ugh,
And we were like,
sold.
"Huh, okay." So then we waited for him to kinda look around, and then we went, "Doug," and he looked it up again and was like, "Yep, and
Sold.
that's now your name." So and he really is a Doug, like, he's the kinda guy that he's everyone's best
Laid back.
mate down at the pub. Like, just he'd be the guy at the pub that is just, everyone loves, like, he's just that kind of dog. And then Harvey was named after Harvey Specter on Suits because he was cute and for no other reason. And then Floyd, I'm not actually Chris came up with Floyd's name as well, and I'm not exactly sure. I think it was just he heard it in a show and we both looked at each other and went, "That would be a
That's
cool
a good
name."
name.
So I think that's how we came up with him. But at some point, Chris wants to name one of our male pugs Norm. So he's a really big Cheers fan. Chris is a really big Cheers fan. And it's so that when the dog walks into the room, everyone can go, "Norm!" Like they do on Cheers, and for no other reason. And yeah, so the new little girl, we haven't decided whether we call her Jemima or Delilah,
I do like,
because I'd like Delilah, and then I can shorten it to Lila,
yeah.
which I think is really sweet.
Oh, yes.
So I think I'm leaning towards Delilah, and yeah, just calling her Lila
And because you
for
can
sure.
sing to it too.
I know, and there are actually 2 songs
Yeah.
that have Delilah in them. So then those songs will be on repeat in my head
Yes.
for like 12 years. So that will drive me a bit nuts. But yeah, so it's sometimes a little tricky as a canine behavior specialist and professional dog trainer because you get to meet a whole pile of dogs with a whole pile of names, right?
Right.
The number of dogs that I've met called Bella, I can't possibly call my dog Bella because then it's like there's 50 billion Bellas that I've ever
Uh-huh.
met. You want to come up with something that's really unique. So I think I've known one other Callie, spelt differently,
Mm.
no Calisandras. There's been a couple of Dougs, but, Doug couldn't
Mm.
be anything but Doug. That's just
Yep.
suits him to the ground. I don't know whether I've ever met maybe one other Floyd, maybe a couple of Harveys,
Yeah.
and yet to meet a Delilah. So, I try and pick names that they're often influenced by television shows because we watch too much Netflix. That's why we decided to have pugs, right?
Yes.
Netflix and chill is
Yeah.
our favorite pastime, so we're meeting their needs there. But yeah, we try and pick names that not everybody is gonna necessarily have
And I
just to
it's as important as choosing your child's name. My stepdaughter is pregnant and she'd come down in January to tell us. So we had an entire weekend torturing her husband with random names. So, and of course, because Andrew and I are both retired Navy, we were searching for like the really good old pirate names. And then a
Mm.
friend of ours come up with a bushranger, one of the old bushranger names, because Andrew's name is Andrew and Captain Moonlight, his first name is Andrew, and he was best known for getting lost. And that was gold. And so I'm messaging David saying, I think we should call baby Captain Moonlight. And he's like, he's messaging me going, what drugs are you on? Just shorten it to Moonlight. Oh, I mean, I have to admit, we also, Caspian from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, like,
Oh, yes. Yes.
Similarly, that was a no, but I was like, I cannot believe that you don't like all of my cool nautical names.
No.
But I suppose it will depend on who is our next pug as to whether or not we change their name. But I suspect I'm going to have as much difficulty finding names like Winston and Charles. My grandfather used to call Fat Dog Winston after Winston Churchill, because obviously Churchill had pugs. And Lewis would go to Pop. If he called him Winston, Lewis would go to him. Nobody else could do it. It was just something that they had. And so I said to my Pop, the next black pug that I have, I will call Winston. So, of course, along comes Winston and Charles. And so Andrew's like, oh, we already know that the black one, who was called Sumo, which is an awful name, he will get called Winston Churchill. And he goes, that means I get to name JJ, and I'm going to call him Charles after Charles Kingsford Smith, because Charles can't have a less regal name than Winston.
Mm.
But the problem with having such long names is when they're doing something wrong, screaming Charles Kingsford Smith across like, by the time you finish saying the name, he's already done whatever it is that you're trying him to stop him from doing. So I said after that, maybe we should not choose such long names after.
I just think that pugs must have human names. Like,
Have to.
it's just they just it doesn't seem right
Personality.
to have a pug that doesn't have a human name. So this friend of mine who lives down at Jindabyne, I'm sure she won't mind me sharing this, but she has, in the time that I've known her, and again, so I've known her for, oh God, Callie was 13, so I've known her for 13 years. She has had Philip, Barbara, Sylvia, Judy, Steve, Colin, and what is the current one's name? Oh, she has a new puppy, and I can't remember what the new puppy's name is, but it is a human name. So must have
Just
human names.
got there.
Must.
I mean, I've never known any dog to be called Colin, and Colin always reminds me of Kingswood Country. I don't know why, but it's very Kingswood. Was he the kind of pug that would like put his arm out the side of the car? That's a Colin in my mind.
He was a ripper of a pug. But yeah, so I just Barbara for a pug's name. It's hilarious.
Yes.
Barbara for any dog's name is just hilarious.
And did she shorten it to Barb? That's mine.
Barbie, Babs. Yeah. She got Babs from time to time. Yeah. No.
Oh, I love it.
Love it.
The last thing I'm going to ask about the boys is so what are their naughty traits? We've been talking about their personalities probably throughout the entire show, but what's the one thing that Dougie does that you go, I could kill you right about now?
He doesn't do too much wrong these days, Doug. He's a distinguished gentleman that kind of has at 11 has finally got it together. So he's pretty good. I mean, he used to be a bit of a humper. So he used to be a bit of a humper when he was younger, and he was a bit renowned, like at one point he had 3 herniated discs in his spine because he used to jump off shit that he wasn't supposed to, like the table at the vets, like the
which is nice and high. So that's
really high.
That's Olympic diving board level for pugs.
Yeah, like he used to jump off just stuff that he shouldn't jump off, and that was why he had 3 herniated discs and no pain. Like he just never felt any pain. So, but he's a weapon. He's now a very distinguished, very well behaved, beautiful gentleman. Floyd, on the other hand,
what's his favourite thing to do at the moment that pisses you off?
Mr. Floyd, at 13 months, he's twitching on the floor at the moment, by the way. He has a tendency he likes to chew on Doug's tail. So at the moment, Doug is missing the fur on the end of his tail because Doug will lie there, and I'll be like, things are really quiet. Why is everything really quiet at the moment? Floyd, what are you doing?" And you'll see Floyd pop his head up with Doug's tail in his
Fluff.
mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Get it out of your mouth." And he goes, "What? No, that wasn't me." But, so he had a very early lesson on Leave It. So I have had to work on Leave It a lot with him because he just has a tendency to chew on Doug's body parts, which is not nice for Doug because he kind of can't retaliate
Mm.
and yeah, or has a
Can't learn
tendency
fine
to
inhibition.
no. So he has a tendency to run beside Doug and then shoulder charge him on the way past, and then Doug goes flying. So he, all of it is normal. All of it is normal puppy. It's just that it's normal puppy interacting with an old man who's not so stable on his feet.
Mm.
So it's a lot of management that we do between the two of them. There's a lot of he tends to be either Doug gets carried a lot or Floyd gets carried a lot. We kind of, we do
Air
manage
prison.
them.
Air prison. Yep.
Air jail. Yeah, he sometimes finds himself there. Most of the time, we just carry Doug because that's just easier. But yes, having Doug's tail in his mouth as a chew toy probably is his worst behavior. And for zoomies at 9 o'clock at night,
Ugh.
which we're all kind of lying down watching TV, settling, and he just decides that parkour off
Oh,
the
yeah.
couch and the back wall, that's just an awesome thing to do.
Oh.
So, but, all in all, it's all very manageable stuff. He does some other beautiful, amazing things that I'm so, I'm so blessed to have a pretty awesome 13-month-old puppy.
And it'll all come back to him in spades when his sister arrives.
And I keep telling him that, "Just wait till your sister gets here. Just wait till your sister gets
Just wait
here."
till your dad gets home. Oh, who cares about dad?
And at the moment, he looks at me like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." I'm like, "You just wait, buddy. You just wait until your sister comes home."
It's gonna be I can't wait to see it all unfold on the socials. And I'm sure the listeners will too. So tell us where we can watch the antics of Mr. Floyd and
The antics of
yes.
Floyd. So I am all over social. So on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. The Canine Perspective is my handle. So you can go onto those platforms. Probably Instagram is the best. And if anybody is interested in a copy of my book, I'm going to put a shameless plug in.
Go for it.
It's called The Canine Perspective: Using Force-Free Methods to Unleash Your Dog's Potential. I have started writing book 2 as well, which hopefully will be released later this year. You can get the book from Amazon or from my website. It's also available in Kindle and audiobook now.
Yes.
So that was a fun experience recording that, especially the special dedication that I did to Callie and Harvey, which I had to record about 4 times because I kept crying in it. And then the last chapter on old dogs, I had to record that a few times because I kept crying in that as well. So
that's fine.
yes.
Tears are important, but yes.
Tears are
But
important.
all of those details will be in the show notes as well, so nobody has to worry about having to rewind to try and catch everything. So, but I shameless plug 5 stars for the book. I loved it. Even after all the books I have read, I still learned things that I had never thought that I would learn, and I relearned a few things as well. So definitely a book well worth reading or gifting to somebody who is having challenges with their dog, whether it's new or not so new. You can still learn things. So thank you so much for coming on the show again, Sarah, and talking about the pug life with Floyd and Doug and Harvey and Callie. So even though obviously Harvey and Callie are at the Rainbow Bridge, and Tyson, I forgot. And hopefully we can get you back on when your new book's out. And of course I've read it.
Well, the new book is going to be an interesting one because the new book I think will be right up Pug Torrance alley.
Oh.
It's all about dispelling the myths around spoiling.
Oof.
So and how it's actually a good thing.
Yes.
How it's a good thing. So it's not really about spoiling, it's about loving them well. So
Very important.
I'm gonna be talking all about that. So yes, it'll be
Awesome.
it's been exciting and fun to write, so I'm hoping it's just as fun to read.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you for coming on the show.
My absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Donna.
Huge thanks to Sarah. And of course, Dougie and Floyd, who are probably at home right now reenacting some sort of tail based war, I'm sure. Now, if you laughed, learned, or now feel strangely protective of Dougie's tail like me, make sure to follow the show, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who loves pugs or chaos. Plus, we will continue the conversation on all things Dougie and Floyd over in our Facebook group, the Pug Life Show podcast. So be sure to check in regularly. Rosie, Kenji, Buster, and I hope that you will join us again soon. But until then, have a pawsome week, and humans, be generous with the snackies.